You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
From kitchen chaos to well-oiled machines, get ready for newfangled technology and old-school know-how. Stories and a good bit of fun. I'm Simon, and this is Culinary Mechanic. Joining me today is Nina Weiland from COGS-Well. Nina, welcome to
Simon, hi,
Culinary
thank
Mechanic.
you.
Hey,
Hey.
so glad you're here. I want to just press on the gas and get down to it. How'd you get into the restaurant industry? How'd you come to hospitality? How did that happen?
Well, my very first job was with Domino's Pizza back in the 90s when I was in high school, and I was old enough to get a work permit. I was one of five kids, so I really wanted to make my own money and buy my own clothes and things like that. So I started working as a phone chick. We were allowed to be called phone chicks back then. Um, Obviously not even allowed these days, but so I was a phone chick. We actually answered the phone, took handwritten orders, stuck the order onto a box. They were made and obviously delivered. Then when I was 18, I really wanted to start delivering and making those tips. So I had worked my way through pizza maker to expo and cutting the pizzas and started delivering. Then I decided I want to go to culinary school and couldn't afford that. So I went to a small chef training school out in Los Angeles. I got a certificate, all the while still working at Domino's until I was 23. And I
Wow.
thought there's got to be more to food service than just pizza. But shout out to Domino's for putting me through school, had my own apartment, my own car, paid for my own insurance. It was great. Um, and then I decided I really wanted to get into a full service restaurant, see what that was all about, maybe dabble in bartending, something like that, and continued to, live on my own and went from fast casual to quick casual to full service, fine dining. Worked with Innovative Dining Group in LA. Shout out to Boa and Katana,
Yeah,
Sushi
nice.
Roku, and
Sushi Roku.
just really found myself loving hospitality, whether I was a hostess, whether I had to take a food delivery. Um, back when Domino's, in the 90s, there was a big map on the wall. There was no GPS. I didn't even have a cell phone. So I really learned how to navigate freeways and neighborhoods by a Thomas guide. I swear, that's how it was back then.
A
So
map.
all you kids have the luxury now of GPS and pretty much having everything automated for you. But no, I really loved not only cooking because I did get my sh professional chef certificate. Um, that I would plan parties for my friends and family and just love to entertain. So I've literally, hospitality began for me as a job at 15, but I was one of five kids, and my mom cooked dinner every night and for all of us. And I learned how to cook when I was probably old enough to see up on top of the counter, and she trusted me with the knife. I was probably 7, 8 years old. And you don't cook for just two, there was 7 or 8 of us. Sometimes
Right.
neighbors came over. So I got into, big platters and making big salads and I love the fact, entertaining and catering way back when. So it's kind of been in my blood. And shout out to my mom for always teaching me that customer service is key and how you treat others is indicative of how they're going to treat you. So just be kind, be
Right.
hospitable. So yeah, that's it in a nut.
Awesome.
That's the long of it, Simon.
I
Thanks
love
for
it. I
asking.
love it. That's that uh that's a great synopsis, right? But I think
Yeah.
I love the fundamentals in that, right? Like
Hmm.
mom says customer service is important. Hell yeah. Right? Good
Yes.
job, mom. Um all right, so tell me how that turns into working for a restaurant tech company? And tell us a little bit about Cogswell.
I love what I do, and let me tell you why. So a couple years ago, I was on LinkedIn, and I thought I really want to do something different, but still in hospitality, still with food and restaurants. And I applied for a sales position with Cogswell and didn't think they were going to call me because I was shopping around for a job for months. And I thought, well, maybe I'll dabble in sales. Who knows? Bill Lindsay, shout out to Bill Lindsay who called me. I was talking to my mom on the phone that day, and I said, "Mom, I got to go. Some guy named Bill Lindsay is calling me. I think it's about a job." And so kicked her off the phone, picked up Bill's call, and that was June of 2023. And he said, "Saw your resume on LinkedIn. Love to talk to you more." And I said, "Sure." Um, And fast forward 2 years, I've learned more about software, interfaces and integrations, partnerships, referrals, more than anything. I can demo the software, that's cool, but also how it works in the restaurant is dependent on who's using it. So when I'm talking to a chef, such as yourself, I'm going to gear that conversation towards menu analytics and menu engineering, how to build that recipe, what it looks like, different versions of recipes. And then maybe I'm talking to a CFO and I'm talking about our reporting and accounting integrations and just things like that. So Cogswell has really given me the opportunity to not only talk about what I love, which is food and hospitality, but also offering solutions, best-in-class solutions to our prospects and leads, and also taking our customers' business to the next level. Automation, as you know, it's so important, and I think some people might be afraid to start it, but once you get into Cogswell, it's easy, it's simple. We do the setup for you. So, yeah, I've really learned a lot about putting two and two together, not only for myself and continuing my education in hospitality, but to help owners and operators and chefs like yourself get the best out of the software.
Right.
It's really cool.
Right on. I think having been in the industry a while and just had the opportunity to stare into the abyss on a number of these products, I will tell you that on paper, a lot of them look the same. They
Hmm.
really do. It's like, oh, you do inventory. Amazing. I can get you have a dashboard. Sick. That's great. So without being, I mean, it's just the honest truth is
Sure.
they all kind of on paper do the same thing, more or less, right?
Sure. Yep.
Tell me, tell me what sort of sets Cogswell apart. What are the features? What are the things that like catch your eye and kind of make it something special for you to be kind of pushing across the table?
Sure. Thank you for asking. So, Cogswell, this is our fifth generation software, so it's not our first rodeo. All four founders have been at this for decades, so that's what 200 years. Or well, I shouldn't age them like that, but
That's okay.
200 years worth of experience from, the tech side, development, implementation, obviously sales and things. But when you're looking at our dashboard, you could have 10 tabs open within your dashboard instead of all kinds of browser windows. And that causes me anxiety just looking at that. But you've got things that stick out, so you want to click on things right away. An alert or a transfer function in Cogswell is so friendly to those multi-unit operators that have like a commissary, and now you're transferring items to different locations. And talk about locations, you can transfer items between each other. You could also transfer let's say a 2-gallon batch of Bloody Mary mix from one bar to another. Your bar A made that Bloody Mary mix. There's a cost for making that. So when you're transferring that Bloody Mary mix from bar A to bar B is now going to pay that labor cost too. So you can debit and credit one and go to the other. When you transfer from A, it's going to deplete all the ingredients as a prepped item and send it over to bar B. That's just, I mean, that's just a small example, but the user experience, super friendly. It's easy to navigate, clear. Again, all kinds of different reporting you can have open at the same time and toggle between all of them. And then for like a system administrator or an owner operator, you can choose which or what you want to see. You can you can toggle between different locations. You can see all of your sites consolidated in rows and columns, or if you just want to see how one particular site is doing, and we call them sites instead of restaurants or stores or locations, we call them sites. Um, and it's we try to make it fun. I turned 50 years old this year, and I say, these kids now who are using this software, these 18 and 22-year-olds, got to make it fun because they might be playing video games or on their phone a lot or TikTok, and we want to make it almost engaging, if that makes sense. We want to make them
Absolutely.
want to use it. Now they're at their job site. They're getting paid to do this. So we may as well make it fun, engaging, and not super analytical or boring either.
Right. That's awesome. First of all, welcome to the club. The 50s have been pretty good to me. Um,
Thanks.
let's pause for a second. If you're serious about building a kitchen that leads from the top, runs on systems, and actually feels good to work in, make sure you're following Culinary Mechanic. This show is all about helping you lead better, scale smarter, and stop white knuckling your business. And if you're ready to dig in deeper, you'll find a link in the show notes to connect with me directly. But, I think it's a really interesting thing to start to understand that these younger generations, they interact with computers and
Mm-hmm.
technology in a different way. Like, I feel like for me, for a long time, I was like, I gotta go deal with the computer. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's just second nature,
Yep.
right? Um, the phones have made user experience something that is personal. So it makes a lot of sense to me that a computer software has some engagement characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
right? That makes a ton of sense. I'm glad to hear it. Um, what? What have you seen? Like, what have you seen with your, you're interacting with restaurants and restaurant companies. What are some of the biggest things that you see as sort of outcomes with using COGS-Well?
Well, obviously, COGS, cost of goods sold, they want to see accurate numbers, which is what we do. Um, a lot of restaurateurs want to see waste tracking. That is huge these days, and we can handle that for you as well. Um, Menu costing, what's that costing? Menu engineering, what's popular, what's not working, what's popular but not profitable, or vice versa. Our analytics and reporting is very robust. Um,
No, that's great. I think that you hit on something for sure. Like menu engineering is one of those
mhm,
things that I feel like when people hear it, they're like, huh? What does that mean? But I think understanding like how much money you're actually, a lot of my clients and we talk about contribution, right? So like
mhm,
what you make it and then you make it and you sell it and it costs a certain amount to make it. And then what do you get to play with after that? And so being that sort of profit contribution. Um, because I think that there's this really interesting thing that happens with chefs, and I'm sure that you've seen this, It's like, oh, this is one of our best-selling dishes. Is it really, chef? Or this is, when we're in reality, what we're talking about is I love making that dish,
Mm-hmm.
right? I spent hours figuring out that sauce and I'm so proud of it. And in reality, you sell 10 a week and you don't make shit off of it. But oh my God, that's one of our best selling dishes. No, numbers don't lie. I'm sorry to tell you. And so I think that getting personally, as somebody who advises and consults restaurants and chefs, getting people to start to really look at the cold hard truth of numbers,
Yes.
and understanding it is pretty vital. um I don't
Yes.
know, I love menu engineering. I geek out on it, but not everybody does, right? Like not everybody's like, oh, but truly when you understand that you can change the tide on an okay sort of profitable business and turn it into a bloody cash cow just with a few tweaks here and there
Absolutely.
is
Yeah, our
fascinating.
the reporting is just is amazing, but how we get that reporting starts obviously with our implementation when we're setting up a new customer. We do the setup for the customer. What does that mean? We do not let the customer sit there with our software and enter every single line item detail for every item that they purchase. Could be 400 items, could be 2,200 items, food and beverage both. We do the setup for them, which just takes a couple of days. Um, no other vendor software that I know of on the market right now does that for their customers. So they say, oh, great, sign up for our platform, but it's going to take you weeks or months to input everything that you purchase. We have other parties that we work with to scan in your historical invoices. We set up everything you've already been purchasing and you already have in the back of your house, and we set up your database for you. We also maintain that database. Here's a little bit of me geeking out as a chef. So when you have a new item, maybe you're trying something new, doing a little R&D, you have to stop what you're doing and go to your spreadsheet and enter that line item detail in, how it comes packed, your vendor item code, price, this and that, where it's going to be stored. We actually do that for you. All you have to do is maybe combine it with another item or rename it something, but we do the maintenance for you. So when you buy new stuff, we automatically set that up. And a caveat off of that, when you enter a new item in your point of sale, automatically maps to COGS-Well. So a
Right.
lot of the heavy lift and a lot of the, I like to say, harmonious integrations in the background happen while you're sleeping. You wake up and you see your sales mix fantastic. But we do a lot of the heavy lift for our customers, not only with setting up the database, but maintaining it on a daily basis.
Right. What about recipes? So who, like, the chef comes up with a new recipe, is that something that he or she can then uh go in and enter that recipe? Is it, I mean, how does that work?
Yes, they'll go in and add the ingredients to that recipe. It'll start populating the numbers because everything's automated. And if you're coming up with a new recipe, let's say you already have fish tacos and now you're just changing the fish or putting a new salsa on it. You can go into that existing recipe and do a second version of it. So maybe you're
Okay.
just changing a recipe and you're adding something. So you can look 6 months into the 6 months later, you can look back and say, how has this worked? We changed this one ingredient, or we tweaked this. How is it uh, performing from the past 6 months to am I making sense?
Yeah.
How is
Yeah.
it performing from the other version that we were doing for 6 months, and then this 6 months we're doing a different version? So instead of doing something brand new, you could just change a version of a recipe too and toggle back and forth, which is pretty cool.
I like that. I like
So
that.
adding a new recipe, you just point and click and add the ingredients and boom, it's in. You can add pictures and step-by-step instructions. You can scale any recipe if you have a party of 15 coming in, they're all ordering the same appetizer, or maybe a delivery of 12 club sandwiches going out. Even if it's a pre-order, if you have something coming in this weekend or a catering, and you're going to need to order more product because now you've got this party coming in or, you know, big delivery going out, which is pretty cool.
Nice. I feel like that's one of those things that got missed in what I would describe as the last generation
Hmm.
of restaurant management systems is they weren't scaling recipes.
Hmm.
I worked with a couple, say 10 years ago, and it's like, oh, this is great. I can take my inventory and there are my recipes and my recipe costs are coming out, but there's no sort of way to use it. So I'm happy to hear that you guys have
Yep.
kind of gone into that step of being able to utilize the recipe for more than just cost tracking,
Yep.
because that's where the last generation of those tech pieces actually sort of left off, if that
Eh,
makes sense.
Yeah, we have a lot of catering companies and country clubs under our umbrella that do exclusively banquets and large orders and parties and things like that. And some of those have actually sent in support requests saying, "Can you enhance this reporting XYZ to reflect something?" And so we're always listening to our users and enhancing our product, which is why we just can't let it lie as it is now, because with technology changing and food changing and dynamic pricing and everything, we have to keep up with them, just like they're keeping up with us. Really
Awesome.
important.
Um, what about like the sort of the ordering function? Is there anything that you can use within there that kind of allow helps with ordering? Because honestly, like
Mhm.
having trained a lot of chefs on, hey, this is how you order, I know that there's a lot of repetition. So when I think repetition, I think automation. So what about COGS-Well can kind of help me with that?
Sure, we can set you up with all most of your main broadline vendors. We could set your team up with a template. So they're only supposed to order the items they're supposed to be ordering from each vendor. We not only do that, but we can put in an alert. Hey, your Cisco order is due at 2 o'clock on every Friday. It's 1 o'clock and you haven't sent your order yet. When you send your order to US Foods, Shamrock, all of those guys, you could also send a copy to your kitchen manager, to yourself, to your accountant, whoever you want to send it to. Um, and it's really a good place to do everything in one. So you're
Nice.
not in another portal on another screen looking at something. When you're ordering through COGS-Well, you could do suggested ordering based on par levels. Um, you could also do suggested ordering based on what's already been ordered and coming tomorrow. So if you're ordering for Friday and something's already coming on Wednesday, you're already expecting something. So maybe you want to order something extra for the weekend, so on and so forth.
Right.
Even if something is being transferred or there's a transfer going on between that particular location, we're going to let you know.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
So
really cool.
that's so in essence, you're telling me that you can use Cogswell as a portal
You can.
for your ordering,
Yes.
because that's a different thing too.
Yeah.
I kind of dig that.
You could also set up a purchase order. You can set up an approval system. So maybe anything over $1,000, your GM needs to approve before it goes out, something like that. So it's
Right.
pretty cool.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, uh, as a crusty old chef, I just it always makes me go, wow, I can't believe that how just very much like you were saying, like once upon a time there was no GPS and there was only the
Hmm.
Thomas Guide and maps. I wonder sometimes how I operated restaurants in, whether it be 20, 25 years ago,
Hmm.
to stop and think about like how we used to do it. Versus now what is available, right? Um, do you find that restaurants or companies that are not doing much tracking at all adopt Cogswell, or do you find that they kind of already have a system in place and then moving to you guys is either an upgrade or a lateral move because maybe you're easier, or what are you finding there?
Are you talking about waste tracking?
I mean, just like I know that there's a hundreds, maybe even thousands of restaurants that are still on Excel spreadsheets. But I
Oh, oh,
also
oh.
know that there's plenty of guys and gals out there who, for lack of a better term, they'll cost their fettuccine Alfredo on a cocktail napkin and go, oh yeah, it's about 30%. That dish is going to be 25%. Oh, okay. And then maybe they have a clipboard and all their cocktail napkins live on there. Where, like, are you finding, what do you see? Do you see people going from zero to COGS-Well? Do you find that the best customers are already using, like, are they logging with spreadsheets? Are you finding that you're getting a company that's using this software over here and they're going, no, that's not working for me, so now we're going to move to COGS-Well? What are you seeing?
That's a great question. I have to say, whether it's a brand new chef opening his or her own first, restaurant, they've already used software in their previous restaurant and maybe they weren't a big fan of it, so they're looking for something new and they already kind of know how to use software and know how to, you know, use inventory tracking. Great. So that's one. Second is multi-unit concepts who are looking to advance their knowledge of their current inventory system, but their current inventory system just can't handle transfers, has clunky menu engineering, can't do everything that COGS-Well can. And three, it's sometimes it is an educational experience for me, Simon, talking to somebody who's never used software before, whether it's an owner, operator, sous chef, hostess. Um, Trying to get them to see the value in it. We're a monthly subscription, and I always say, if you can't figure it out in a couple of months, cancel. I know you'll be able to because it's easy, and you're not going to cancel. You're going to love us. But we are best in class. We're not an all-in-one. All-in-ones tend to get a little too clunky, in my opinion. Um, so taking a brand new person to inventory software and showing them COGS-Well is probably the easiest for me to
Oh wow.
to try to, because I've been there without inventory software, and I want to make it just again easy and simple. That's what a lot of people are looking for, no matter if you've used software for 50 years or not. Easy,
Right.
simple. Let's see these inputs. Let's share data. We pull from 40 plus, maybe 30, 35 different point of sale systems. We work friendly with a lot of other vendors. Um, we'll collect the data, we'll share it with your accounting system. Um, and you know, it again, I think it really depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a chef, my attention goes and targets to what he or she is going to be looking for in their requirements for software. If I'm talking to a CFO, I go right into implementation, how our data flows and our harmonious integrations with other software. So it's easy for it. I could say it's easy for me to have a conversation with no matter who I'm talking to, a brand new user, a seasoned user, or someone who's implementing it for their brand new business.
Right. Yeah, because I think for me, honestly, like when I see somebody that isn't doing anything, I
Mm-hmm.
tell them, I'm like, do something
Yeah.
first and then go software. Because if you don't know, like, I think it can be, I've seen it a couple times. You see somebody who has no tracking of any kind, and they put in a new system and it bowls the chef over and it bowls the manager over, and before you know it, the damn thing's sitting on the computer and it's not getting used because it was too
Right.
much, right? And so I think it's as simple and easy as it can be. It's like it's the difference between sitting still, crawling, and running.
True. You know what? Because we do the setup for our customers, that's a big heavy lift. So if I'm saying, you know what, send me your spreadsheets, I'm gonna automate this for you, and they're thinking, what? You can do that? I said, yeah, let's get that clipboard out of your hand. Let's get you back into the kitchen where you belong and let us do all the automation in the background. And some people just don't believe it. And then when it happens, they're like, wow, Cogswell's like, that's just that this is saving us. Wow, we're at 17% here, but 32% here. I had no idea. So again, it's we'll take that spreadsheet. We will take your tracking for the last 4 months and automate it for you. And then it's
I
just a
love it.
matter of now using the software once a day, once a week, however it's going to work, however you count inventory. Now you can do it on a tablet. There is no weird spreadsheets that you're funneling through and marking up and spilling your coffee on. Forget about it. Get that
Now you
out of
can
your
spill your
hand.
coffee on the tablet, right?
Well, that's true.
I mean,
That's true.
come on, it happens.
I
Uh,
I remember walking through the kitchen with the clipboard with the coffee on top of the clipboard because, I'm using it as a tray. That was never a good idea. And kids, not a good idea. So, but now that you're counting inventory a lot faster and more efficient, you can set your coffee down and come back to it. It'll still be hot.
there you go. There you go. Well, awesome. We've covered some serious ground here, all the way from Domino's Pizza
Yeah.
and pre-GPS to the future. Um,
Yeah.
uh, Honestly, really, truly, thank you very much for joining me in my little tiny sandbox of the world that is Culinary Mechanic. Um, it's fun to hear a chef who has kind of transcended and gone into doing something else, especially tech, because I think
Yep.
that, like I said, in our 50s, things are different. Uh,
Yep. We
you
have to keep
know,
up with these kids. It's
you sure
crazy.
do, and you got to use whatever tools you can use. So, I will make sure that in the show notes we can find both you and Cogswell, and all you out there. Um, we're on YouTube, and we are wherever you consume podcasts. I promise you, you can find Culinary Mechanic. Please like, follow, subscribe. As well as leave us a 5-star review because those are the
Mhm.
things that really keep um, Culinary Mechanic humming along. So,
Nice.
Nina, once again, thank you so much for coming. And to all you out there, I'll catch you on the flip side.
My pleasure, Simon. Take care. See you next time.
Yeah. You've been listening to Culinary Mechanic. This show exists to help you lead with more clarity, build systems that actually work, and create a kitchen culture worth showing up for. If this episode helped you move even one step in that direction, do me a favor, leave a quick review. It helps more chefs and operators stop the chaos and start leading with intention.